Last year at Englishtown, Kenny Bernstein won in the Budweiser King. In the first round today, son Brandon went for the ride of his life. The car got out of control, hit the wall hard. Brandon up and over, and from that moment on, everyone was holding their breath. Father Kenny didn't even wait for the truck. He went bolting down the quarter mile to see how son Brandon was. The looks of concern because he was complaining of lower back pain. The jaws of life were brought in to extricate 30-year-old Brandon Bernstein, a position his father really had been in several times himself, but never this way, where he saw his son on a backboard being placed into an ambulance. Let's go back and take another look, and you'll see exactly why he had such tremendous impact.
Well, Marty, you're going to see right here, he smoked the tires, got a little bit too sideways, and then overcorrected. And when he lifted, the tires kind of hooked, actually got the car airborne, and then took a hard hit into the wall from the bottom side of that car. And probably the reason he's complaining of the lower back pain is, remember, they're on a carbon fiber seat. There's not any padding whatsoever. It's just a suit. So I'm sure all the impact happened on that on his lower back. Now watch again. You're going to see him get out the throttle, get back on. The problem was it was too far sideways when he got back on it and overcorrected, which just sent that car launching into the wall. Pretty hard impact. When I first saw it, I thought it was okay, just kind of rolled up on the wall. But then when we saw it on replay, it went into it very, very hard. And that was that's a tough hit right there.
You have to remember, these cars accelerate to 100 miles an hour in the first 60 feet. And even when you haze the tires like this, he is getting up over 125 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, easily. I mean, when they're smoking the tires, I mean, you can run the other end smoking the tires at well over 250 miles an hour, 240 miles an hour is not a problem. So it was very easily could have been achieved of a speed of well over 100 miles per hour when he impacted that wall.
He was loaded into the ambulance, taken to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in nearby New Brunswick, New Jersey. And this is what was left of the top fuel machine of Brandon Bernstein when Bill caught up with the Medical Services Department.
Frank Reynolds is with the NHRA's Emergency Medical Services. I know they're taking Brandon to the hospital for further evaluation, Frank. Is there anything you can tell us about his condition?
Well, he's awake, alert, stable, complaining of some back pain, and we didn't identify much else right on the spot. That's a miss.
But he was alert and he was responsive.
Oh, yeah, he's even got a good sense of humor, too.
That's great news. Thank you.
And as you take one more look, Dave Reef caught up with crew chief Tim Richards.
Back here in the Budweiser Dragster pits, team already back working on a brand new Murph McKinney chassis. As 32-year veteran Tim Richards, the crew chief on this car, you've probably seen it all, or so we thought.
Well, you always see something new, but I've seen this before. I don't like it, but it's just part of what happens out here occasionally. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. The conditions here are so good, and it's very difficult to tame these cars down.
It's really affected this team. I mean, we look at everybody's faces, and you can tell it's hitting everybody.
Well, it's a tough deal, and we have not talked to Brandon yet. We understand that he's going to be all right, but still, you know, that weighs upon your mind. It's kind of a little bit difficult to work, but this is what we do.
Let's head over to Parker.
Dave, crewman Tony Snyder in his third year with the Bernstein team. We don't see these kinds of accidents very often. Can you describe the emotion that you felt as you watched that run with Brandon?
Well, it's kind of hard because I'm down at the end of the track, so all I saw was basically a lot of tire smoke, and then we ended up seeing a car flip over the wall. And I don't know how to explain it other than, you know, that's your best friend in the car going down the track. So when you see something like that, obviously you get scared to death and you don't know what to think, so you expect the worst. So my heart basically sunk to the ground when I saw that.
Racers never give up. As Dave mentioned, they're assembling this brand new Murph McKinney chassis because why? They're optimistic that they'll be testing here tomorrow.
Yeah, the good news we can report is that he was alert and even telling jokes, as you heard, had a good sense of humor going on to the hospital. We'll get more reports and we'll pass them on as we go. But I got to ask you, have you ever been in that situation where you impacted the wall like that?
Never from that side. I mean, I've wadded up a few cars in my career, but normally it's just a side impact, which is normally the way those cars are built. Usually if you get on the wall from driving it too far, which in a situation I was, just came over in the back end, swung around, impacted the wall, pretty much parallel to the wall. Good impact, but nothing like the way Brandon took that hit.
hindsight, he's going to look back on this and he's going to say, okay, next time this gets sideways like this, I got to just bail out of this, not try and save it.
No question. I mean, when you get a car that far sideways, especially a top fuel dragster, at that point, even, I mean, I know you're in the championship hunt and you're really trying to win. I mean, that's what he was trying to do, but you got to just get out of the throttle. And then if you get the car back straight and you can see the other guy having some trouble and you think you can get back in it, then go back in it. But, you know, he definitely got into it just a little bit too much there.
That's the most dramatic moment, but we've got a lot more coming your way today on Speed World. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents exclusive coverage of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Today, from Old Bridge Township Raceway Park, it's the 34th running of the K&N Filter Supernationals, presented by Pep Boys. And as you can see, overcast conditions again. The track temperature has been great. Tony Pedregon leading the points in funny car. Can anybody stop him? What about Larry Dixon, the leader in top fuel? Who's been hot and who's not? Well, Larry Dixon and Doug Coletta, as you can see. Let's catch up on what else happened in round number 1 of Top Fuel. Shirley Muldowney, her last run here at Englishtown in the left lane. Darrell Russell over on the right lane. Shirley goes up in smoke. Darrell goes 457 at 319 miles an hour.
Well, good track conditions, really cool, make a lot of horsepower, but Shirley smoked the tires as soon as she hit the throttle. You're going to watch here. Car hardly ever rotated. I mean, as soon as the tires started to rotate, that thing was up in smoke, and she never had a chance.
What about points leader Larry Dixon? Watch this. He goes up in smoke in that left lane, but Corey McLenathan throws it away. A 455, his best run of the year at 323 on a red light.
Same thing as we saw with Shirley. That car just barely launched. He started to get the front end up, but boy, then started to immediately smoke the tires. Figured his day was done. Hopefully he looked over and saw that red light.
And Corey was dejected.
I'm just so disappointed in myself. That stuff just kills me. My hats off to the guys. They did a great job. They turned the car around when they needed to, and their driver let it go. And it just kills me when we can't put it all together, and especially beating Dixon like that. I left the line and said, well, I'm going to run it through. Let the guys know they did a good job. And that's, you know, I just didn't do my job. And Yankees car, man, all these people here, I'm just really disappointed in myself.
Well, we talked about Doug Herbert in NHRA today having to step up and take advantage. Corey didn't. Could Doug? No. Paul Romine, 464 to a 4.65 second run for Herbert. Romine takes out Doug in first round. Then it was David Bacchus' turn. He's got an outside shot. This team's shown some life. He runs a 462 and on the whole shot beats the quicker but losing 459, the best run of the year for Scott Wise. Wise was late off the line, and there is the margin of victory. What about Jim Head and Luigi Novelli? Well, Novelli will go up in smoke at the hit of the throttle. Jim Head goes 489 and 303. It's his first round win here since 1985 when he beat Al Segrini in funny car. Clay Milliken had a free pass. Mike Smith couldn't make it because they had too many engine problems. Milliken also had problems. He gets lucky. 596 as he coasts through into the second round. What about Doug Coletta? He goes low. Right lane, 452. A new Englishtown record, 330.63 miles an hour. So here's how the round 2 ladder shakes out. Lane choice goes to Coletta and Baca on the left side. Over on the right, it'll be Milliken over Dixon, Head over John Smith. Coming up next, first round of funny car action. John Force trying to get back on track to chase down his teammate, Tony Pedregon. And as we get ready for first round of funny car, who's hot? Well, Tony Pedregon, 4 wins and no first round losses. Ron Capps, only 3 round wins since Phoenix. And that was 5 races ago. Let's see what happened in first round of funny car. First up, it would be Dale Creasy in the left lane, Del Worsham in the right lane, and this was a driver's race all the way. Pedal job, and Worsham gets there barely. A 589 to a 591.
Boy, Marty, watch the butterflies right here. You're going to see an excellent job of backpedaling here. He's going to get out of the throttle. The front end's going to lift back up. It's going to smoke tires again. Gets back out of it. Now watch the butterflies again right there. He's just feathering that throttle to keep that thing from over-revving, trying to get it hooked up. No better driving job than I've seen in a long time.
Greasy close, but just couldn't quite catch it. What about Bob Gilbertson? Well, he goes red, giving TJ a free pass, and Tommy Johnson really rips one off. 480, 323 miles an hour. Watch out for the Blue Crew today. Hey, Jack Wyatt, it's your first round wake-up call. John Forrest goes 487 and 306. Wyatt never a factor in this one. What about the points leader, Tony Pedregon? He's in the driver's right lane, 481, 320 miles an hour. Terry Haddock, nowhere to be found at a 520. Then it was Cruz, Pedregon, and Whit Bazemore. Cruz gave him everything he could handle. 489 for Cruz, but Whit goes 483, 322 miles an hour. Whit's into second round. Then Gary Denchip. He's been struggling this weekend, and he struggled himself right onto the trailer. Tim Wilkerson, his first round win since Pomona, 481 at 312 miles an hour.
Watch Gary's going to move the left out of the groove, start to spin the tires, and the car's going to make a hard right. Look like he lost the right side of the engine.
Then it was Johnny Gray against Ron Capps. Capps in the right lane goes 488 at 318 miles an hour. Gray, a 5 flat, just not good enough. And then Gary Scelzi. He's about to go the fastest ever in a funny car. 326.95 miles an hour, and a 483 moves him into the second round.
Well, you had the top speed in qualifying, so maybe it shouldn't be that big a surprise. You just ran the fastest speed in history.
No kid. You know, I don't even care about that. All I care about is that little yellow light on the wall for Don Schumacher, who went to his daughter's graduation. He left town, and Jim Gennard's not here, and you know, racing your teammate Scotty is tough. And Matco Tools, we got 3 races we can run special bodies at, and we ran a Matco body, but it was heavy, and we need everything we got to get this thing happening. I'm just very happy for the boys on Team O, Matco Tools, Gates, Belts, Army, and everybody. We love you. God, let's hope we go some more rounds. Thank you.
Almost 327 miles an hour.
Yeah, and as you take a look at the ladder, let's point how important this is. If Scelzi can run 323.68, he'll back it up for a new speed mark, and the track record here had been held by John Forrest since 1998. So that wraps up first round of Funny Car. We'll take a commercial break. When we come back, more action here from Englishtown at the K&N Filters Supernationals. Take a look at the top fuel ladder. Galetta, Baca has the lane choice in the left side. Over on the right, it's Milliken and Jim Head. Talk a little bit about specs in top fuel today. Let's talk rear tires.
Rear tires, they have 2 choices, a 1430 or 1486. They're basically the same size, diameter 36-inch, circumference or rollout is 115-inch. The tread width is 17.8 inches. They weigh 48.5 pounds each. Cost about $500 or $1,000 for a pair. They normally run about 6 to 8 pounds of air pressure.
And time now for our NHRA mailbag by Pep Boys. Help for your cars just a Pep Boys away. Pep Boys, the car people. And Rick from Las Vegas wants to know in top fuel, Mike, how many passes on average will a new set of Goodyear tires actually make?
Well, it varies from team to team based on budgets and other things, but normally about 5 runs is what they'll make on a set of tires.
And as we get ready now, it looks like Larry Dixon and Clay Milliken will be coming to the line first. And let's get an update first from Parker.
Well, after first round action, Clay Milliken's crew had to replace just about every engine-related component. Crew Chief Mike Clover said they were on their best run ever. And pushing the engine to its maximum capability, they snapped this 3/4-inch steel input shaft. That's what you get when you're trying to go fast. The clutch, it was hamburger, and they just barely made it to the line in time during that turnaround. It was a miracle they got here.
Joining us in the booth is Tony Schumacher, and the Sarge is here to help us through second round. And we're getting ready now as both pre-stage lights are lit. Here we go. Dixon left lane, Milliken right lane. The win line in a 453. They figured out that left lane. 327 miles an hour, and Don the Snake Verdone shakes the hand of Dick LaHaye.
Wow, this is a great pass, especially after smoking the tires first round. Watch it front end. That thing was high enough it cleared the 60-foot clocks. If he only got a 954, that means he tripped the clocks with the back body panel, not the front wheels. But after that, the car was planted down, made a nice pass through the middle, 271 miles an hour in the 8th. Got a little bit sideways there, but still, that was a great run, especially after that disaster in the first round when they smoked the tires. Watch that front end up in the air.
His 6th semifinal of the year and 7th now in 10 events here at Englishtown. And we welcome Tony Schumacher, the Sarge, to our booth. I know you don't want to be here.
Absolutely not.
Let's put this to bed real quickly. you guys are fighting hard to try and figure out what's going on. Everybody's scratching their heads in your camp.
No question about it. We're struggling, but we'll get through it. We always have before. We have some of the best brain power that NHRA has ever seen working on those teams, and even some of our funny car crew chiefs over helping out. We'll definitely manage. We need to make some changes because we have way too many people behind us and way too good of a partner with the United States Army to go out and jeopardize that whole partnership.
Are we talking about staff changes or are we talking about parts changes?
Well, I'm sure we're going to do a couple parts changes because we've had failures. We've had problems that with a tune-up, you can make a lot of changes. And certain things on the car, and I'm not going to mention them now until the changes have been made, no matter what we're changing, have still caught us by surprise. We just can't seem to catch up maybe with the performance level of those parts. So we got to make some changes, both sides.
Let's go to Bill at the far end.
The mark of a championship team, Larry Dixon, retired from the first round and back with a 327.
I guess it's a good thing we backed it down, huh? To get down the track. I mean, Dick LaHaye, everybody on the Millite team did a great job. Lucas Oil, we got a lot of people from UST here this weekend. You're trying to put on a good show. And, I mean, I tell people before, don't matter how you get win lights as long as you get them. And we earned it that time.
Parker.
Hey, I had a question for Mike Dunn. Mike, on John Smith's burnout, the rear two cylinders on either bank were just pouring fuel out, but the front three on either side were clean. What's going on there?
Well, that's not abnormal to see them put out a couple cylinders because there's basically no load on the engine when they do the burnout, but it's kind of unusual to see it just if it did just on the back ones. Yeah, I mean, that is a little abnormal, and you can see the car, it was struggling to do a burnout, huh, Tony? I mean, the left tire didn't even look like it was hardly smoking.
Absolutely. When we see them back up, too, you will watch the crew chiefs pull out little pins in the injector, and they're leaning out and changing the tune-up of different cylinders and what they want to put in at that time into each cylinder.
Jim Head, told you, first time he has won around here since 1985. Can he make it 2 in a row and go to his second semifinal of the year? Yes, he can. Head goes 454, 320 miles an hour. And you saw John Smith at the hit of the throttle, so maybe something was wrong with that car on the setup. Let's take another look. And Dave, you've got more from down on trackside?
Well, actually, there was a lot of excitement down here at the starting line. Dick LaHaye came up, John Medlin, a bunch of guys talking to Ray Alley to watch this car, and they were actually suggesting that possibly one of the wheels was only in the drive condition. I guess the other wheel was just freewheeling, and it absolutely looked like that when it left the starting line.
Yeah, we could see that on the burnout. The left tire was not spinning as much, and basically what happened is there's a straight axle that goes across there. Normally, if you break an axle, that is what happens, but maybe the drive plate that connects that left wheel to the axle either sheared or was not in all the way and didn't allow that left tire to turn. Boy, that was kind of funny.
Well, luckily for John, I mean, this happened at the starting line. If that happens further down track, we got another big situation.
Absolutely, and that's very fortunate that happened. Obviously, you had an awful lot of people watching. That's one of the great things about the NHRA is we knew that there was a problem pretty early. I'm not sure whether or not that car should have been brought to the starting line under those conditions. Maybe we should have shut that car off, and I'm not sure who saw it there. In what situations, but we saw in the past with Doug Herbert's explosion.
Dave, what's going on down there?
Well, walking back with Virgil Hartman. Virgil, that looked kind of interesting.
Must have been on the first round when he was pedaling it so much we either broke a drive plate on the left side or the axle, and we didn't catch it in the pits. And we saw it on the burnout, and I told him before he was staged so that he would know that something might be wrong.
Just go up there, take a shot, and maybe the other guy red light?
That's all we can do.
All right, so now we know exactly what happened. Now, let's give you the update as we hit commercial break on Brandon Bernstein. His vitals are stable. He has feeling in all limbs. He is complaining of mid and lower back pain, and they are doing x-rays as we speak. We're coming back to Englishtown. Let's go back and take one more look and see what happened during the burnout with John Smith's top fueler.
Yeah, you can see the left tire is just not turning. It's basically not engaged into the axle, so it's just basically rotating as the right tire is driving the car. It's pretty good that he was actually able to keep the car straight on the burnout with that happening.
Now, we just had word from down on the starting line area that Paul Romine may have had a problem, although there is starter Rick Stewart taking a close look. He's going to be in the left lane. David Baca over in the right lane. These two have never met in competition. Parker, you got more on Romine?
Yeah, Rick Stewart thought he saw a problem with the right rear tire. Turns out it was just pickup. Looked like a little bit of concrete. The crew got it scraped off, and he's good to go.
Yeah, in fact, we've got a good shot of it right here, and yeah, that does look like just extra little bits of dust, concrete dust. We're ready. Baga's up in smoke, and Romine's on fire. Romine's going to win the race. 513 or 513 at 226 miles an hour, and it got a little hot in the CarQuest Top Fueler. And for Romine, that is his 8th oil down of the year. I mean, he is deep into the penalty situation.
Yeah, you're going to see David Baca smoke the tires almost immediately after hitting the throttle. Paul Romine, on the other hand, that thing starts burning up pretty early. Probably pushed some head gaskets. You see the cylinder go out, and then shortly after that, it pushes a head gasket. It can still get to the finish line under power, although it'll have a lot less horsepower at that point.
Absolutely, and it's got a pretty big mess on their hands there. You see the cylinder go out on the right side. At that point there, you got 7 cylinders trying to make the horsepower and take the motor to that level of the 6,000 to 7,000 horsepower range, and it gets lean, and it just burns itself up. And you can see right there, as a driver, that's an awful scary situation because you can't burn the tires off the car, and we all know what happens when we see the tires come off.
Romine out of the car. He's okay. His last semifinal, Gainesville of 2002. So as we get ready for our final pair here in second round of Top Fuel, let's take one more look at Romine's situation as we send it to the far end. Bill has caught up with Paul, and he's none the worse for wear.
Okay. Paul Romine looked a little bit like the one you had in Madison about 3 years ago, but at least this time the fire stayed away from you.
Well, that's why we wear this leaf protective fireware. So, yeah, that's right. But, you know, it's eliminations. It's Sunday, and we got to do what we got to do. And, you know, Bach is tough over there. Johnny West, he's badass. Excuse me, but, you know, he is. He's tough. And, you know, I told Frazier, just run us a 60. That's all we need is a 60. And if I can do my job, we'll just try to be around all day. And, you know, I got to tell you, our buddy Louis Cavallari passed away this week, and Louis with us today, and buddy, he's helping me a lot.
Keep your eyes on that car in the right lane. Talk to Jim Overhofer. A clutch problem during the warm-up. They had to do a little quick fix. Quite honestly, he has no idea what to expect in this pass.
Darrell Russell in the left lane. Well, Jim's clutch is just fine. 454, 321 miles an hour to a 461 at 320. Dave Reef?
You guys were nervous Nellies there. I spoke of the clutch problem a moment ago.
Yeah, we didn't know what to expect that run, but the Smack Tools team came through like they always do, put up a 54. Looks like we might have heard it down there, but we'll go into the next round and see what we can do.
What was the problem, do you think?
We had a clutch pack problem. Just wasn't adjusted quite right, and when we started the car, the wheels kept spinning and spinning and spinning, so tried not to build a lot of heat in the clutch. We were pretty nervous.
So let's show you the semifinal matchups now as Khalid is going to his 4th semi of the season, but it's first since he won back in Houston. He'll have the lane choice by a bunch over the flaming Paul Romine. And in the other semifinal matchup, it will be Larry Dixon with a very close matchup with Jim Head by 1/100th of a second. Funny car coming up next. Come on back to Englishtown. Back here at the K&N Filter Supernationals at Old Bridge Township Raceway Park. We're getting ready for second round of Funny Car, but first let's put a period on Top Fuel. Let's send it down to Bill.
454, you know what? You could win this race today.
Yeah, I tell you, the guys, you know, they've got this thing running pretty good. It had a head gasket out about 2/3 of the track. I just stayed in it, burn it up, let it happen. But, you know, Mac Tools, Red Line Oil, the car's running good.
How are the lanes today, Doug? I haven't heard much about lane choice. Seems like they're pretty even.
Yeah, I think we have lane choice, and I think we'll stay with the right side. But I'm not sure. Hopefully I won't have to find out.
Indeed.
He doesn't have to worry about it next round. How about the lane choice? Well, in round 2, it's going to go to Tony Pedregon and Whit Bazemore on one side of the ladder, and John Force and Tommy Johnson Jr. over on the other. And the first matchup that we're going to get to see is the champ, John Force. He'll be in the right lane against Ron Capps. Now, this is interesting. He has lane choice, and in first round, he was the only one to choose the left lane. Here he is over in the right.
Hard to figure out what the thought process is behind that, but obviously Austin Coyle, Bernie Federle, liked what they saw in the left lane in the first round, decided, well, we think the right lane's a little bit better because their teammate Tony Petragon made a heck of a pass in that lane.
If you're just tuning in, we're at the K&N Filter Supernationals presented by Pep Boys. Marty Reed, Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, Parker Johnstone, and Tony Schumacher's in the booth with us. Red light forced. And Ron Capps runs a 483 at 314 miles an hour, and John tosses away a 481 at 321 miles an hour. And for only the 7th time, well, in his career, Ron Capps has now beaten John Force.
Wow, you don't see this very often. John Force getting a red light by only 0.02 of a second. I mean, I almost think he's got, even with the LED lights, he almost had to kind of take a shot at the lights because it didn't look like he was in that deep. But it was close enough that Ron Capps, he probably didn't even know that John red lighted. He was just racing to the other end.
7th win in 35 meetings. You better believe he's happy.
I think he knows now.
Yeah, he got the news. Take off the helmet, Ron. It's easier to understand. Here's the temperature in air and track between rounds 1 and 2. And as we send it down to Parker Johnstone.
Well, Marty, the individuals that are the most nervous here at Englishtown are the crew chiefs because of the weather. It's changing constantly. Now, the last 2 days, it's been cold and overcast, but the big change today, the air is very dry with the kind of humidity that you would find in the desert. With that dry air, there means there's more room for oxygen, which means more horsepower. And for the crew chiefs, I've heard 2 things. Either there's going to be great runs or lots of smoke, and that's what we've seen so far today, Bill.
And Ron Capps, that made up for an awful lot of bad luck you've had against that car. He ran a 481. You went a 483, but he fouled out.
I'll tell you, I actually clicked it off early, a tad bit early, because I thought we were just getting whooped. To be honest with you, I didn't see the red light. You know, you're racing the champ up there, and all these Skoal guys do a heck of a job to get the car together, and then you go out and you do well, and the car runs good. Made a hell of a move at half track, which Ace said it would, and said it would pick up PT. And I thought we got outrun, but my guys were pumping their fists. I came around the corner, and I'm still in shock, but I'll tell you, racing Force, you just never know, and that's a good run. I wish I would have clicked it off early. You just don't, Mike Dunn will tell you, you don't want to get out there, lose the race, then have something go wrong and blow it up, to add insult to injury. But Mac Tools, our Chevrolet, I mean, everybody, I'm in shock. I don't know what to say.
Let's go, Dave.
Another little factor to add into the equation. Just a little bit ago, we saw Paul Romine's right tire with a lot of concrete on it. Well, we found the source of that problem. It's about probably 200 foot off the starting line, and you can see the little concrete patches where the concrete is actually starting to pull away from the racetrack. Ray Alley, the director of Top Fuel and Nitro Racing, has been telling all the crew chiefs that's out there. Looks like the crew chiefs have been heeding that warning too and moving over to the left a little bit.
And there is the funny car win by lanes. This is a big matchup because your teammate, Tony Schumacher, Gary Selzy, can help Whit Bazemore right here if he can put the points leader on the trailer. Not going to happen. Tony goes 479. That's low for eliminations. 322 miles an hour. And John Force says, well, I may have red lit for the 5th time in my career, but Tony is moving on. Bill?
John Force, mixed emotions. He fouls out, just watches Tony go low for eliminations, but half the country's in shock, champ.
I don't leave unless I see amber, but on this new tree system, if your car's on the game, you're on your game and you roll deep, which I did against Capps. And bottom line, Coyle warned me a couple races. I had 04s and 20s, and he said it's going to bite you. And I argued I didn't believe it, as long as you see amber, but it got me. And I never even saw red. Usually you'll see red. So obviously driver's error. I guess right now I'm rooting for Tony Petragon like I always do. My daughter Ashley in Indianapolis trying to win a race there, and want to keep her safe, and naturally just want to get Brandon Bernstein, get him back home with his dad, and I guess that's most important. But yeah, I'm a little pissed at myself.
Last time he fouled out, Columbus, 1998. We've already had a bunch of surprises in Englishtown. More coming up.
Time now for Tommy Johnson and Tim Wilkerson, and we're getting the bodies coming down. Of course, we have Tim's frequency, and we can listen in.
guys notice anything so far as this round is concerned? No?
Absolutely not. You know, we had to go out there. We had to run good as far as Gary Selzy and running against Tony Petragon, who's so strong. Everything seems to be going right.
Wilkerson's up in smoke. And again, Tommy Johnson, 481 at 321 miles an hour, and the Skoll Blue Crew has got this car dialed in. He ran a 480 last round. Let's take a look at the funny car specs, and again, we're talking tires.
Well, the funny cars run the same basic tires as their top fuel counterparts. 36-inch diameter circumference, like we talked about the rollout. That's what the tire would travel if you made one revolution on the ground. 115 inches thereabouts. Tread width 17.8 inches. 48.5 pounds. Now, if they run the 1430, that tire's about 1.5 pounds lighter because of the difference in the construction. But otherwise, everything's pretty much identical.
And we get ready for our NHRA mailbag by Pep Boys. And both of you can get in on this one. From Jake in Kingston, Washington. How important is it to clean off the tires prior to the run? Tony?
I think it's very important. And you see every team out there doing it as you're backing up from the burnout to wipe off the rocks and stones and make sure there's not pieces of rubber. And you'll notice that if there's something on the racetrack in front of you, they're moving that out of the way too. These cars are going to leave and go from a dead stop to 100.8. They can throw a lot of rocks up. You got wing problems. You got a lot of issues. You need to make sure that is a clear tire.
You see Whit Bazemore and Del Worsham as they get ready for their run. Let's send it to Bill with Tommy Johnson, who's going to his third semi of the year.
And, you know, usually when teammates run each other, it defeats the purpose, but one of you guys is going to go to the final round.
It's a real good thing. The Blue Skoll team and the Green Skoll team have really come alive this weekend, and maybe it's a little motivation. We got about 150 Skoll people here from corporate, so at least one of us is going to go to the final, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be blue.
I understand why. They just signed a new deal with Skoll for the next 3 years. Parker?
Tony Petragon's car with police escort returning to the pits. Watch the crewman. He's up on the wheelie bar to grab the parachutes so it's clear of the bodywork to try to minimize the time that they strip this body off this funny car. Watch these guys go to action now as the body comes off. You'll see the tool tray go in place in the cockpit and the lower pan come into place. Let's just sit back and listen.
You got to remember, guys, when they only got 75 minutes between rounds, they're looking for every little piece that they can shave off time, just like a NASCAR pit stop, because you got to remember, these guys are going to be changing all 8 pistons, putting a new clutch in it, so they're working just as fast as those guys trying to change all 4 tires at a Winston Cup race.
And they're going to warm it up, seat the clutch, create heat. They need to have time to their advantage on letting it cool down and being prepared for the next round.
That's the thing we always seem to forget. Those parts are all very hot right now. It's very hot right now for either Del Worsham or Whit Bazemore. Red light, Del. And the clapping you hear is from Tony Schumacher because his teammate, Whit Bazemore, just went into the semifinals, his 7th of the year with a 481. That's the good news. The bad news is, though, he will not have lane choice. Dave?
481, pretty good numbers. We get set for that monster matchup. It somehow ends up being Bazemore, Tony Petragon again.
It's exciting to see those Dodgers run the Forge. You know, they're a tough team. We've got to rise to the challenge. We've got our hands full.
No lane choice. Is it a problem?
I don't think so. I mean, I've seen good numbers out of both lanes, you know, so we'll just have to see what we can come up with.
Like we say, though, it's never a problem if you don't have it, right?
Well, I'm looking at all the winners, and it seems like the right lane seems to be doing pretty good. Take a look here.
Yeah, I got to agree with Dave Reef. I mean, we see a lot. Wow, look how sideways Del Worsham got that car. He usually doesn't do that. Thing smoked tires immediately. Gets out of the throttle. He's not even in the throttle. His momentum just kind of carried him off to the side. But we've seen a lot of cars in that left-hand lane smoke the tires at the hit of the throttle early in the run. And now we're seeing a little bit of problem down track, like you mentioned about the concrete coming apart. So obviously everybody's going to be choosing that right lane.
Parker?
Well, the car's been here just over a minute. The spark plug retainers have been taken off. Valve covers have been removed. The drive shaft is out, and they're just about ready to pull the clutch can out. Bottom end, they're already starting to pull the sump off so then they get hold of the rod cap so they can pull those rods and pistons out the top, and as soon as those cylinder heads come off. All this, though, going on now in just a minute, 42 seconds.
Whit Bazemore out of the Matco Tools Iron Eagle. He fouled out, but you got all of that one. 481 at 324.
Oh, that's good. Do you know if we have lane choice?
No.
No. What did they go?
79.
Ah.
Oh, well, we'll dig a little deeper for those boys coming up, but worshiping those guys, you know, he owed me a red light or two, so it all works out. It comes around, but great team over there. And tell you what, the Matco guys, you know, we're got to make our own way. We will. We're doing our best.
What a great semifinal coming up here with one teammate against another and Whit Bazemore against an old friend.
Yeah, the old friends, and the lane choice goes to Tony Pedregon by 2/100ths of a second in one semifinal, and in the other, it's Tommy Johnson with 2/100ths over his teammate Ron Capps. We want to thank Tony Schumacher. I want to say one quick thing.
Sure.
You've never thrown anybody under the bus through this entire process. Class act.
Thank you. Thanks for a nice compliment and a rough weekend like we're having.
Okay. Hopefully it'll turn around for you. We've got to go to break, but we'll come back with our Powerade profile, and this week it's on the Professor. WJ, stay with us. Now, in today's Powerade profile, we had a chance to sit down with the Professor, Warren Johnson, and his wife, Arlene, to get their thoughts on racing against son Kurt and how they've managed to stay a close-knit family in such a hectic sport.
It's not really any different other than the fact that I realize he's got exactly the same equipment I have because both of these cars are prepared in the shop by basically the same personnel. So we know we have equal race cars, and so you eliminate that from the equation, and it's going to be who lets the clutch out first and who does everything else right, shifting, and keeps it in the center of the groove, and who had a little bit better setup if there is one at that particular time. But when they leave the shop, both of these cars are absolutely equal.
A father and son racing against each other is unique in the NHRA, an experience that Arlene Johnson hopes happens a lot this season.
I hope that they both have a safe trip down the track and that Warren wins. Kurt has his time coming.
I don't care which car wins the championship as long as it's one of these cars.
Kurt's car is probably the toughest car out there we have to run because we know what he's got.
Balancing a family and a racing career can be extremely tough, but the Johnsons have managed to be successful at both for over 30 years.
I mean, this is just a different kind of job, different work hours, but at the same time, it's still a job. So you can make this as difficult as you want it, or you can make it as easy as you want it. It's up to each individual.
Most everyone on the team knows what they have to have done prior to each race and right after the race when they get back, or if they're on the road, there's maintenance to be done, and everybody just takes and pitches in their share of duties. It's 8 days a week, 24 hours a day. Never ends. A lot of hard work.
If you're going to choose racing as your vocation, you're going to have to make the commitment that there's going to be a lot of work involved if there's going to be any success. And that's really what it boils down to.
Well, as a six-time champ, he's made the commitment. Here is his record at Englishtown. His first win came here back in 1982, and he's got an 80% batting average of winning when he makes it to the final round. But the last time he made it there was 10 years ago, where he beat son Kurt. Let's check in with Dave Reef.
You know, but it seems like when you come to a racetrack as many times as this man has had all the highs that he's had, there's always got to be a low stuck in there somewhere. And for you, that low was 1976 when we worked our way out onto Pension Road in a race car.
Absolutely. We had a parachute failure and a brake failure all at the same time. Ended up maneuvering our way through some fences out onto Pension Road. And my understanding is New Jersey's finest even wanted to cite me for driving on a public road with a race car.
I can't say I'm shocked by that one. But we were talking, how many different race cars since that first win here in 82? It's staggering.
I just made a rough count, and it's somewhere around 30 different race cars.
Unbelievable. And that first car was a Starfire. A little bit different than the Grand Am he's got today.
And the Professor, Kurt, Greg Anderson, Jag, they're all coming up next. Pro Stock, first round when we come back to Englishtown. Greg Anderson, 668, 206.4, NHRA history. And who's hot in Pro Stock. Well, Kurt Johnson's one of the guys. 3 wins in his first 7 races this year. But Jed Coughlin still an early season struggle. His one final round appearance was at Gainesville. What about first round in Pro Stock here? After that record-setting day in qualifying, well, first up, it was Scott Jeffreyon in the left lane. Terry Adams over in the right. Jeffreyon has troubles, gets into some tire shake, jumps it off, and a 674 205 for Terry Adams moves him into second round. Then it was WJ and Ron Krischer, and Krischer throws away a 675 run because he goes red. Warren goes 671 at 205. Then it was Darrell Alderman and Mark Powick. And it was Alderman 6.73 seconds at 205. Powick had a shot, but as you saw, he ended up having to get out of the throttle. Alan Johnson picks up his first round win since Gainesville, a 671 at 205 in a great race with Troy Coughlin, who ran a 673. Then it was Kurt Johnson. KJ just nailed Dave Northrup, 672 at 206. You saw Northrup getting all kinds of sideways, and he had to get out of the throttle. Barry Grant in the left lane. Jim Yates in the right lane. Lane Yates goes 672 at 205. You see Barry having all kinds of problems, just barely getting off the line. Then what about Greg Anderson, the national record holder? Greg Stanfield in the left lane gave it a good shot, but watch Greg. 6.69, 206.7 miles an hour. He is on a rail. Then it was Gene Wilson, driver's left. Jag Coughlin, driver's right. Wilson goes 676. Jag does him better. 671 at 205, and Jag would end up getting lane choice by 2/1000th of a second. And the lane choice in round 2 goes to Greg Anderson and Alan Johnson over Kurt. Jag, as we mentioned, over the Professor, and Jim Yates over Darrell Alderman. Now, what about Pro Stock Bike? Gino Scali is red hot. He's the point leader for the first time in his career. And what about Craig Treble? Well, he's not real hot. 5th in points. Remember, he had his first ever DNQ last time out. And it is imperative he has a comeback race. What about first round in the bikes? Sean Connor left lane. Mike Berry over in the right lane. Berry goes red. Gives Connor a free pass. Connor still runs a very nice 7:13 in that left lane. 187 miles an hour. Then a real good race between Karen Stouffer and Reggie Showers. Karen first off the line. Reggie runs a 7:12, runs her down by 3/10,000th of a second. That's the margin of victory. There is just how close it was at the stripe. What about Angel Savoie, Craig Treble? First time in Angel's career that she is going to go out in the first round in back-to-back races. Treble does what he has to do. Nails her with a 7:07 at 188 to a 7:12 for Angel. Then it was Antron Brown, Angel's teammate, take care of business with Michael Phillips. Michael cuts a perfect light, but Antron goes 7:07 at 1:85. Then Fred Collis in the left lane goes red, gives Blade Hale a free pass with a 7:19, 186 mile an hour rip, and Blaine into second round action. What about Steve Johnson and GT Tomlin? GT on the Harley in the right lane gets all kinds of crossed up. Steve goes 7:17, 185. He's in to the second round. Points leader, Gino Scali. He had a single because Matthew Smith was unable to make it into final eliminations after hitting the wall and breaking his foot back in Friday's qualifying. A 7:11 for Gino. And then Sean Gann does him better. 7:07 in the left lane, 190 miles an hour. Chris Reuter nowhere in sight. So let's check the second round matchups in Pro Stock Bike. Gann and Brown have the lane choice on the left side. Over on the right, it'll be Reggie Showers and Craig Treble. So that wraps it up for first round action, but there's a lot of action also still going on back in the funny car pits. That's Tommy Johnson Jr. and the Blue Crew. Come on back to Englishtown. Here at the K&N Filter Supernationals, we are getting ready for the second round of Pro Stock, and the lane choice goes to Greg Anderson and Alan Johnson, and to Jag Coughlin and Jim Yates. In fact, it'll be that Yates-Darrell Alderman matchup that we're going to see first. Yates is going to take the right lane. That's where he won in the first round. But, of course, Darrell Alderman had some success winning in the first round over in the left lane. cuts it too close. And you saw Darrell Alderman getting all kinds of sideways, so he bailed out of it. So he coasts on through, and Yates throws away a 675 at 205, and he's going to be kicking himself. Let's take a look at Pro Stock rear tires.
Well, there's 3 different models that they can run. Mostly they run the 1239 and the 2556. The diameter is 32.8 inches. Circumference, a little less rollout, about 102 inches, sometimes 103. Tread width, 17.3. They're a little bit narrower there. The weight, considerably less, 39.5 pounds, cost about $316 each, and they'll run their air pressure anywhere between 5 and 6.5 pounds, depending on track conditions.
And we just saw Darrell Alderman advance to his second semifinal of the year, first since Pomona. Now it'll be up to Warren Johnson and Jed Coughlin Jr. to decide who's going to run up against Darrell in the semis.
Boy, Warren Johnson just doesn't seem like he's had the horsepower at this race. He's been struggling a little bit, which we saw yesterday. He was down to like 204 miles per hour, which is unusual, but he looked pretty good in the first round. But it's going to be tough running against Jeggy here, because both of these, Jeggy's one of the best drivers in the business, but I tell you, Warren's been really on his game lately.
And Warren won in their matchup at the semifinals. Their only one this year back at Atlanta. Professor. And Jake runs it through to another.
You got there first. You ran a 671 with a 3, 204.88 to his 673, 205. He would have had to go red to beat us, boys, because I think I was on time, too.
He did go red, Jag. You just don't know it yet.
And Jeg was definitely on time. 16,000 from perfect, so he's right. He would have had to. There was no way Warren was going to win that race.
And there's Darrell Alderman with Bill.
Won this race back in 1997 and going to the next round.
Yeah, you know, we'll take a win like that. We hate that Jim red lighted, but we've been fighting the track all weekend long, so hopefully we can make another win here.
It was a weird-looking win, but a win nonetheless.
Down in the pits of Tony Pendergon. Tony fueling the car. He's responsible for getting that 90% nitromethane and methanol mix correct. You can see that the supercharger has come off the car, the intake manifold, the cylinder heads, and on the bottom end, a crewman cleans the crank, ready to receive the new rods, which will go in just a moment. Cylinder heads, they're being swapped over too. Crews have now taken injectors from the old heads that went on that last round, putting them into the new heads. And inside the trailer, well, that's where Dickie Venables and John Medlin continue the work on the tune-up for round number 3.
Thank you, guys. Out on the starting line, meanwhile, Alan Johnson and Kurt Johnson are going to decide who's going to the semifinals. First time these guys have hooked up here in 2003, and they're dead even in 8 races in their career. Big advantage, KJ off the line. And the Cavalier puts the Dodge on the trailer, 672 at 206 miles an hour. And we go to the far end to Bill.
Let me guess, Jack Nicholson, one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Wow. I'm not, I don't know about that, but...
nice hat.
No, we're pretty excited, thanks. You know, I think we found the performance in the yellow and black here. A little lady luck here, we can keep on marching. So, you know, another flawless run down that right lane we're pretty excited about. Got to get a hold of it a little better down low, but I think our competitors will think different with our times.
Jackie trying to set himself up for his first win of 2003.
Back in the top fuel pits of Brandon Bernstein, you can see the crashed car back in the pits. The team starts to try to salvage everything they can off of that car, take it over to the brand new Murph McKinney chassis that no doubt will make its debut in Topeka. No medical updates yet from Brandon Bernstein, but I did have a chance to talk with Tim Richards a little bit about the course of action over the next week heading to Topeka. In a perfect world, they may get a chance to test this car in Indianapolis. Probably not going to happen. And the other thing Tim Richards told me that I thought was pretty big, if Brandon Bernstein's not able to go, no surprise, Kenny Bernstein may step back into the cockpit.
Well, and let's reiterate what we last had. His vitals are stable for Brandon. He has feeling in all his limbs, but he is complaining of lower and mid back pain, and they are doing x-rays. Time for Greg Anderson and Terry Adams, and Terry took a shot at it. He went red, and here goes Greg. 666 207, 207.18 miles an hour. And guess what? Your new national record just went lower, and your new top speed record just went faster. I gotta catch my breath. This guy's wearing me out. It's time for Pro Stock Bike. Give us a break here and come on back. We'll find out how the two-wheelers do. Back here at the K&N Filter Supernationals, got to show you this. Another page of history. 667, 207.18, both ends of a national record. Unreal. Time now for Pro Stock Bike. Reggie Showers in the left lane, Blaine Hale over in the right. These two have never met in competition. And Reggie Showers, a 7:14 at 187 miles an hour, is going to go to his first semifinal since here in 2002. Let's talk to the record holder. There he is, Bill.
Let me put it this way. 667 and an even faster 207 than you had yesterday.
I can't believe it. You know, I don't know where to start. I have the best guys, the greatest guys, right from the top on down. Ken Black and his Vegas General guys, my crew, my engine guys. What a Pontiac race car this is. Mac Tools. Everybody that supports me just does such a wonderful job, and I'm able to come out here and just have fun with it, you know. And I'm having a ball this weekend. I got a big race coming up next round, you know. It's kind of a guy that's a little bit ahead of me in points, and I need bad to get around him. And I'll never find a better chance than this right here. But I've got an absolute rocket ship. God, I just wish my kids were here. Cody, Brittany, I miss you guys. I'll see you tonight after I win this race.
Massive matchup. It'll be Greg Anderson against Kurt Johnson.
Back at the starting line now, it's Antron Brown and Steve Johnson. Antron in the left lane, Steve over in the right. Steve better hurry. Big advantage, 6/100ths for Steve Johnson. But Antron drives around him at a 7:12, 183 to a 7:19 at 185. Let's talk about the rear tires on these Pro Stock bikes.
Well, they only run one, Marty, and the model's a 3053. The diameter's 26 inches. Circumference of rollout is about 82 inches. Tread width, just under 10 inches. They only weigh about 19 pounds. Cost about $173, $175. Air pressure 16 to 20 pounds, and they'll get about 15 to 20 runs on one of these tires.
And we've got a big matchup right here. Gino Scali, Craig Treble. Remember, Treble took care of Angel, and Scali goes red, and Treble is living large. Treble needed to get back into this championship hunt with a big, big race after not qualifying last time out, and he's doing it. Let's check in with Bill as he's with Antron.
Boy, Antron just did a triple take when he heard that Gino Scali fouled out, and you weren't thrilled with your 712.
No, you know, we went a 707 round before. We knew we had more left in it, and we had a okay average 60 foot on 07. We felt we could have won like a 04, but hey, Mark's tuning this thing up. And hey, Mac Tools, it sure gives us a tool to put it together, and hopefully we could do something for the Fun Center who gave us the money to come out here this weekend.
Mark is his crew chief, Mark Pizer, and Antron won't have to worry about facing Gino Scali, who beat him in the final in Atlanta 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's 49 points right now, so he's just picked up 20 more. If he goes on to win this race, we could see another change in the points lead. Sean Connor now and Sean Gann. Connor in the right lane, Gann in the left lane. Well, Gann goes 008 on the lights, then 712 at 188 miles an hour, and he's going to his second semifinal of the season. Bill?
With Craig Treble. I just told Antron Brown that another 712 out there by Sean Gann. He's pleasantly surprised, but you just got something in the luck bank there.
Oh, big time. This bike bogged really bad. You know, that new LED tree is really screwing with us pretty hard. So I squeezed the clutch lever, and I locked up. I had a horrible light. I don't even know what it was. I'm sure it was pathetic. And but you know what? This Matco Tool Suzuki's going to the semifinals. Who we paired up with, I have no idea.
You'll be racing Reggie Showers.
Mr. Showers, Reginald Showers. Cool. Okay, man. Well, we're going to take this bike to the next round for our distributors down at Matco Tools. Thanks.
What a day.
I'll tell you what, been a lot of surprises. By 1/1000th, lane choice to Gann. And Chet Ridgey's got the lane choice by a bunch over Craig.
Track Back brought to you by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles.
There are three things that racers know about tires. They're black, they're round, and they hold air. But during the course of a fuel pass, these tires are hardly ever round. Mike, what's going on during the course of a fuel run?
Well, Parker, just consider what the Goodyear engineers are dealing with here. It's not bad enough that they have to build a tire that will run over 330 miles per hour, but it has to do it in 4.5 seconds from a standing start.
Now, it makes sense that if you turn the tires too quickly and they spin, your run can go up in smoke. But what happens if the tires aren't turned fast enough? That can also create a problem, can it?
Ah, yes, Parker, the dreaded tire shake. Normally, if the tire's spinning fast enough, it gets a nice flat surface there, a lot of contact area. If the tire isn't spinning fast enough, it'll actually roll over itself. The sidewall will peel up, then you're only contacting on the corners to the asphalt, and then obviously with 6,000 horsepower, that's going to cause the tires to smoke.
Hey, Mike, do you think if I start to work out, I can get rid of the spare tire around my waist? Mike, a little help here? Mike?
Mike, could you put him inside the tire and mounted it? That would have shook him up a little bit. Top Fuel coming up when we come back. Back at the K&N Filter Supernationals, and no, that is not Gary Dencham getting in a little extra work. That is a young gentleman. Boy, it's right next to the track, though, and he's doing pretty doggone good. Time now for the semifinals. Top Fuel, who's it going to be? Larry Dixon or Jim Head? Going up against either Doug Coletta or Paul Romine. And it's going to be that Coletta-Romine matchup that we're going to have first. And we want to welcome to the booth Frank Pedregon, the driver of the K&N Filters Flopper. And glad you're going to be with us for this round of both Top Fuel and Funny Car, Frank.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You see the in memory of Lou Cavallari. You saw Paul last round mention the fact that Lou had passed away Tuesday of a heart attack. We send our best wishes to the family. Of course, his brother Jim used to drive Top Fuel out here on tour. For Doug Coletta, big opportunity now as he's trying to go back to his third final of the season and the first since Houston. Oh, and is he going to do it? 4:48, 328 miles an hour, and that is a new track record and oh so close to the national mark of 4:47.
Man, Connie Coletta, that whole team, they are not bashful, are they? Right in the semifinals, a little bit of cloud cover so they can't get aggressive, but still a 4:48. You're going to see the car move over towards the center right at the finish line. I couldn't tell if he put a cylinder out because his car has ran 333 miles an hour in the past, so it's definitely capable of doing it. You saw the cylinder just before the finish line go out. Great pass.
And there's a happy Connie. Dave?
Back in the 4:48s once again, just fourth out off the record.
Yeah, this racetrack is awesome and the air is awesome. We've never seen a racetrack like this and the air like this all together in one combination, and it's pretty awesome. And we've been having some clutch trouble, and it looks like we've cured it for the most part.
So heading into the final now, what's the first priority then? Winning, or do you get greedy and go after that 20 points too?
Well, just hope Dick LaHaye don't come up with some magic number and Dick can spank us.
Of course, he's looking ahead, insinuating that Dixon will win here.
Yeah, he's already got Dixon in the finals. Frank, this track actually ended up coming up and biting you guys because with the washout, we only had 2 rounds of qualifying, and you weren't able to back it down enough, right?
No, we weren't able to do that. We backed it off a little bit before the second round and ended up biting us. We dropped a hole and ended up catching the car on fire. But, hey, sorry, K&N, but they're still backing us, and Jim Dunn will rebound and be at the next race.
Well, we're glad you're with us. Let's go to Bill at the far end.
Boy, you began the year going 4:48 in Pomona. You just did it again. You're the only guy that's gone that quick this year.
Boy, that's great. The whole team, what can I say about them? Connie Coletta, Jim Oberhofer, Redline Oil. I mean, all the guys at Mac Tools, distributors. I mean, everybody's supporting this effort hard, and they're making it happen. So one more round to go.
Man, you are the soft-spoken assassin.
Next up is now Larry Dixon and Jim Head. Last time these guys met, second round of Bristol. Remember, Head goes up in smoke. Larry also had to pedal it. Dixon won it, 5:19. to a 6:45. And these guys have met 13 times in their career, and Dixon has won 10 of them.
Boy, and you can't count Jim Head out. I mean, Connie's basically saying that, Doug Coletta's Larry Dixon's in the next round. But, Jim Head ran a 4.54 the last round. He spun the tires in the first round. Backpedal, did a great job to get the win. But Alan Johnson seems to have that car running pretty good.
And let me flip-flop that around. Of course, it was Jim Head who won the race. I'm like Connie, I've got Larry advancing and winning things that he hasn't won yet. Let's check in with Dave Reed.
Well, Marty, as daunting as a task it is to beat that Miller Lite car. Talked to Alan Johnson right before this run. He's got some other kind of concern, and it deals with the fact that they've got brand new Goodyear slicks on the backside of that tire. And he told me 2 reasons that I know Mike Dunn can expand apart why that concerns him. 1, there's no heat cycle in the car, and 2, they're smaller tires. Now, why is all of that, Mike?
Well, a smaller tire will actually change the gear ratio and make the car a little more aggressive off the starting line. We've seen a lot of cars in that left-hand lane smoke the tires at the head of the throttle. Now, we see that, basically Jim's in the right-hand lane, so hopefully that won't be a concern. But it gets your tire speed, gives you a little bit less gear ratio, a little bit easier to spin the tires at the head of the throttle with a smaller tire.
You saw the wins by lane. Here we go. He is going to be facing Dixon. They have leaned on it, though. You saw the puff of smoke. 4.55 at 316 miles an hour. So Doug Coletta is going to have lane choice in the final. But Larry is going to his 5th final of the season and 51st of his career. Parker?
Marty, I'm down in the Bernstein pits with crew chief Tim Richards. And Tim, can you give us an update on Brandon's condition?
Well, Brandon, they've x-rayed him top to bottom, and he's in pretty good shape. He doesn't have any broken bones, nothing serious. Everything, all his extremities, everything moves good. He's talking, there's no problem with anything really. But he does have a pretty sore back, and they want to look at that a little closer to make sure there isn't some bruising of the spine or whatever, But basically, he's in pretty good shape. He's got a pretty sore back, and that'll have to get to be 100% before he gets in this car again, because your back is with you forever. We can always have another driver in there next week if we have to, but right now he doesn't have anything really seriously wrong with him that can't be fixed, so he's in pretty good shape, really.
Marty?
All right, thanks, Parker. And that is good news that it is nothing extremely serious, and we wish Brandon the best. As you see, lane choice is going to go to Doug Coletta in the Top Fuel final. Funny car semifinals when we come back here to Englishtown, the K&N Filters Supernationals. This was Larry Dixon just moments ago, lifting that front end again on his way to another final. Bill?
Larry Dixon just now moving away from his Miller Lite Top Fuel dragster. A little hopscotch over Jim Head's car. And you, sir, and your tuner are going to need a big glass of shut-up juice for that red car in the final.
Well, it's you got to be there to do it, and it's just we got the win light with the Miller Lite team. Everybody's doing a great job. It went out there and it had the front end up again, big time, but as Mike Dunn gave us school on that yesterday, having the training wheels on it certainly works, and got us spun the tires out there, but it don't matter. I mean, you got to leg it. I mean, I've gone out there and pedaled a couple times before, and it's banged back, so you just kind of stand with it and blow it up and all that, and Snake don't care as long as we win.
That's what makes it fun.
Time now for Funny Car semifinals. Will it be Whit Bazemore taking out his old best buddy, Tony Pedregon? Or will the teammates, Ron Kapp and Tommy Johnson Jr., decide who is going to the final? And that's the matchup we're going to see first. Of course, the last time these two met was the first time they had ever met, and that was Dallas when Kapp's exploded. Well, he didn't explode this time, and he runs a 490 at 316 miles an hour, and Kapp's goes to his 2nd final of the season. Remember, the last time he went there was when he won at Phoenix.
Wow, this is a big surprise for Tommy Johnson. Been very consistent, running 480, 481 in 4 runs right within that range, and then to go out there and just smoke tires after having lane choice in what he considered the good lane. Ron Capso made a good run.
Yeah, it looks like Tommy Johnson got out of the groove a little bit there to me. And Caps just did what he had to do, just calm it down a little bit and went right down there.
And Dave Reese has got Don Verdome.
We are down here in the burnout box pretty quickly. We'll try to get a quick word before the burnout's done. Got Skull Blue on today, but it doesn't matter. You'll cheer for Skull Green too, won't you?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Actually, though, Tommy's cards were better. Probably been better for you to win it. he's more consistent for the final, but that's all right. We'll take it. Got 2 cars in the final.
Ron Capps is out of the Skoal Camaro. Big high five from his teammate Tommy Johnson Jr. and just about as consistent a race car as you've had. 488, 483, and 49.
That's not that consistent, is it?
Well, yeah, for you, over the last few races, it sure is.
Body's still on it. How about that? No, hey, I was more nervous against Tommy Johnson. I consider him one of the best out here. Forrest, I was pretty pumped about, but this guy over here, Tommy, and the Blue Skull guys make me nervous as heck. Lucas, Mac Tools, all the people that I haven't had a chance to thank lately, Chevrolet, but especially Skull people. We got 180 plus people here that brought a bunch of Greyhound buses. Just a plug for Greyhound. That are all here from Connecticut. And it's not like this is a home race for them, but it's pretty darn close. And I don't care who wins or who we got to race next. It did some things out there, moved around. I really expected the Blue Skull car to come around me. Never made it. And I'll tell you, Joe Shirk, my longtime PR guy, his mom passed away, and he had to go back home. So hopefully we can win for you, Joe.
Nice job.
And we send our best to Joe. He's a great guy and a good friend. Right now, time for Whit Bismore. And you can see that in the last 4 races these guys have met, Whit's lost 3 of them, and you better believe he's thinking about that.
Oh, he's definitely thinking about it. Doesn't have lane choice against Tony Petragon. You know, here's a dilemma for Lee Beard. He knows he's got to run this thing hard to beat Tony because the odds are Tony is not going to smoke the tires. But the good thing is he saw Larry Dixon actually choose that left lane, went down the racetrack. Ron Capps in front of him also went down the racetrack, so that's got to make you feel a little bit better going into this round.
This is the matchups that Bazemore has to win if he wants to cut into the lead. Red light, Petragon! He rolled the car deep. Bays goes down the track, 482 at 321, and Tony tosses a 481 at 319 miles an hour, and the championship chase just got a little bit closer, guys.
Wow, that's a big surprise because Tony's very, very good on the light. I almost got to think that maybe that was a little bit of a mistake, like the brakes didn't hold, because he went in and put the top light out, and as quick as he is on the light, he's definitely going to have be at a disadvantage to possibly red lighting.
Tony's an awesome driver, and he doesn't deep stage. It had to have been a mistake. That's totally out of character of him, so he turned on the red light, happens to the best of them.
Yeah, I agree. I've never seen Tony deep stage. That's the first time this year that he's done that.
So Whit goes to his 3rd final of the year, 31st of his career, and as before we go to commercial break, we want to say thank you to Frank Petragon for stopping by, and we'll wish you well next week in Topeka.
Thank you guys for having me. I'll be going rounds here soon.
Okay, and that means it's time for us to head to Bill to the far end.
Whit Bazemore got out of the Matco Tools car and called Capps over and says, "Come on, man, we got to celebrate." Tony Petragon finally is not going to win a race. As Whit works on his helmet to get it out. It's really an amazing thing to see 2 out of the 3 force cars foul out on the same day, and for Whit Bazemore to win 2 consecutive rounds when his opponents foul out. But Whit, you had plenty. You had the 481 before and the 482 that time.
I don't find that so amazing, Stevens.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, you do, huh? I'll remember that. No, I don't know what happened over there, but you know, it all comes around. It really does, and we're all, you know, it used to be the easiest. The later on you went in the day, the easier it got mentally, and it's not that way anymore. It's brutal. It's brutal. So we all make mistakes. We've all made them, and we're all going to make them. So just a perfect guy wins the race that weekend.
Yep, the pendulum swings back toward Whit Bazemore.
And there is the matchup. Bazemore has the lane choice over Ron Capps. We've got to take a break. Pro Stock when we come back. Boy, we have seen some performance today here at Englishtown at the K&N Filter Supernationals. And we're all wondering how much better can it get, as it's now time for the factory hot rods of Pro Stock. And Kurt Johnson's got a big task. He's got to try and take down Greg Anderson, the new national record and speed holder, for a lap time as well. And Darrell Alderman and Jake Coughlin, they'll square off for the right to advance to the final as well. And you're on board with Jake Coughlin, as he has pretty much owned Darrell over their career, 11 up and only 2 down. But one of those losses was last year at the Gainesville Finals when Darrell took the win.
And Jag looks very good today. Ran 671.3 on both his previous passes, and he's been nailing the tree.
is all over the track. And Darrell runs 6:75 at 2:05 and is going to his first final of the season and the 49th of his career.
Wow, Jed Coughlin, uncharacteristically late for him. I mean, you're going to see kind of like what Greg Anderson did. Got out of the groove, and right between probably third and fourth gear, that thing really got sideways and got away from him. By that point, he had to just shut off and watch Darrell Alderman just pull away for the win.
And take another look, and you can see what happened to Jed. He had the lane choice, took the right lane. As we check in with Parker.
Marty, Tim Richards just got off the phone with Kenny Bernstein, who is at the hospital with son Brandon. What is the update now on Brandon's condition?
Basically, he has a crushed vertebrae in the 2 to 3 area, and there's some small fractures in the same area. Now, they're not sure whether they'll have to go in there and surgically remove these pieces, or they're in there well enough that they won't have to do it. And no matter what the case is, he'll have to be fitted with the brace if they don't remove him. But whatever the case is, he won't be ready to drive next week. So basically, his dad didn't really want to get back in the seat in this way, but he will be our driver.
Marty?
So the word is official, and the bad news for Brandon, we wish him a speedy recovery. And Kenny Bernstein's retirement lasts all of 8 races, and he is going to be forced back into the car. Time now for Greg Anderson and Kurt Johnson, number 1 and 2 in the points. This is a huge battle. Kurt sashaying all over the place. And Greg runs 6:82, 198, as he had some wheel spin as well. Something's happening down on that track. These guys have lost some grip on it. And it's good enough, though, for Greg Anderson to move into his 4th final of the season, 16th of his career.
Was this a wild race or what? You saw Kurt early in the run get sideways, and then a little bit down track, Greg Anderson really starts moving around just like yesterday, but he was able to reel it in. Kurt completely sideways after he probably got out of the throttle once or twice. See the tire shake there? All the way out of the groove. He brought her back into the groove and then went back over towards the center line. He saw Greg was in trouble, got back on it, but still wasn't enough to get the win.
There's 3-time champ Darrell Alderman. Bill?
Do you believe what you're seeing today?
Hey, we had I didn't do a very good job that last round, and we got down the track. That round was loose, and I like Englishtown.
And the guy that went 6:67 in the last round just went 6:82, and you got a lane choice in the final.
I can't believe it.
Oh, we all got to go take a nap.
He's laughing all the way to the finals. How about Pro Stock Bike? Well, here's the matchups. It's going to be Antron and Brown against Sean Gann. Reggie Showers against Craig Treble. And already on the line, Reggie Showers and Craig. Treble, slight advantage by 1/100th off the line. And the win light. Craig Treble is doing exactly what he has to do. He needs to get back into the winner's circle to make up for that DNQ last time out, and he runs a 7:09 at 1:88. Let's check in again with Bill.
Excuse me, sir. What was that?
I crashed.
Really?
I about crashed. I was headed for the wall big time, and I lifted just like last night. You got so much air out here, and the racetrack it's got to have constant attention, and it didn't get it that time, and that's not very good because it's going to hurt one of us. Somehow I saved the car, got back in, and got to the finish line. He must have had more trouble, but you just got to get after the track when it's like this, man, or somebody's going to get hurt.
And remember last night, that cost Greg $50,000 in the King Demon Crown when Kurt was able to get by him when Greg got out of shape.
Well, when he sees the replay, he'll wonder how KJ was able to hold on to it because Kurt was even more crossed up than Greg was. Time now for Sean Gann in the left lane, Antron Brown over in the right. Antron, in their earlier meeting this year in round 2 at Houston, beat Sean. Got to run quicker than 7.094 to get lane choice. .098, not going to be good enough for lane choice, but Sean Gann is going to the finals. It'll be his first of the season, 7th of his career. His last final, Indy, last year, and Sean's a little happy. There you see, Treble's got the lane choice by 4/1000. Stay with us, we're coming back.
Well, Craig Treble's been a one-man wrecking crew today. Took care of Angel Savoy in round 1, the points leader, Gino Scali, in round 2. There's a vacuum in the points chase, man, and it looks like you're about to fill it.
Well, after that gig we pulled down to Atlanta, we got to do something spectacular here. I got to tell you, though, when we came into this race, it didn't look so good. We were having a tough time in qualifying. We got in the show. We qualified number 11, and, man, we really struggled. And last night, Calvin and Mike, man, we worked our butts off all night long, and we changed a lot of things, and we just basically went back to the good old stuff that we used to always use, and it certainly brought this Mako Tool Suzuki around. And Bill, I want to send my condolences to the Martinez family back in Chandler, Arizona.
All right, thanks, Craig. Your opponent in the final will be Sean Gann. 4 races ago, we were talking about that burglary at your shop, and you lost a lot of bikes and parts, and seems to have turned your program around. You'd never run better.
I've come a long way since then, and Pop's been steady at it late at night making power for me, and I've been putting it all together with these Mac tools, and I just can't say enough for Airtech, Worldwide Bearing, all the people that helped me, and this is going to be a smoking final round.
He was the #1 qualifier. He'll be ready.
You saw Greg Anderson's wild ride in that last Pro Stock semifinal. Let me show you what that ride looked like on the data. But first, I'm going to take you back to the record, 2:07:18, 667 pass. See the blue line? You want that as straight as possible, because every time that you turn the wheel, the tires create friction with the track surface, and that slows you down. The last run, look at the green line. 0.6 of a G from that peak to that peak. Total change, 1.2 Gs, which exceeds the handling capability of a standard production car. All that while going very, very fast in a quarter mile. You're supposed to get down the track as straight as possible. That last run, not what they wanted to see. If you want to see how crew chief Rob Downing and Greg Anderson fix this problem, stay with us. We'll be right back from Englishtown, New Jersey.
Back here at Englishtown, let's get you an update on Brandon Bernstein. Earlier today in first round, just in case you were not with us, keep an eye on the right side of your screen. Goes up in smoke and then hits the wall hard. He has 2 crushed vertebrae and floating chips, and we have a further update from the hospital. Parker.
Well, that's right, Marty. I'm reading from a prepared statement just issued by Kenny Bernstein. Brandon has a crushed vertebrae in the T3 to T4 area. He is in stable condition. There is no paralysis. His spinal canal is in good condition. He will be at the Robert Wood Johnson University Medical Center for the next 2 to 3 days. The decision will be made either today or tomorrow whether to utilize reconstructive surgery for that disc or fit him with a brace. His recovery is expected to take 2 to 3 months, and Kenny did confirm he will be behind the wheel next week at Topeka, Kansas.
All right, thanks a lot, Parker. And as you were finishing up the statement, Sean Gann just picked up his first win of the season and second of his career as he goes 7:10, 188 miles an hour. Craig Treble slowed to a 7:75.
And Sean Gann dodged a bullet. He was dead late on the lights. 1:26 reaction time. Craig Treble was about 0.08 off the starting line. Had he not had that problem, I'm sure Craig Treble would have drove right to the finish. But obviously, you saw right there, he had to lift, and that allowed Sean Gann to get the win.
Another look from the far end, and boy, you're right. Right there, you can see Craig having to lift up, but Craig still picks up an awful lot. He's 5th in the points now, 53 behind. And what about Pro Stock? Darrell Alderman, will he pick up the win, or will it be Greg Anderson going to the winner's circle for the 3rd time this year? And I think we can hear Sean hooping and hollering at the far end. Bill?
Oh, it's party time as Sean Gann about to receive his trophy from a host of people from KNN. Ben Reiling from Powerade is here. Hey, it took a couple of years, but welcome back to the winner's circle.
Oh, man, look, God brought me this today, and I've been asking him for it all day. I don't know what happened. I seen you leave on me. Well, I can't say enough about Craig Treble.
Good job, Gann.
Thanks, buddy. Mac Tools, Airtech, Worldwide Bearing, Charlie Soap, man, all of my peoples that helped me.
Yeah, he's happy.
He is. He should be. He's now 2nd in the points, 24 behind Gino Scali. Now, what about Pro Stock? Greg Anderson, as we mentioned, trying to go for his 3rd win of the season. Darrell Alderman trying to go for his 1st, and it's the first time since Gainesville 2001 that Dodge has had a funny car and a Pro Stock car in the same event final. Here we go. Advantage Anderson off the line. And Greg goes 672. 205. Wife Kim likes it. He scores the maximum number of points, 138, and leads by 10, Parker.
Crew Chief Rob Downing, you obliterate speed records, ET records, third win of the season. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. I can't say enough for this Vegas General Construction team. Done a great job this weekend, and just got to thank all the guys back at the shop. Got to thank Pontiac, Mac Tool, and Vegas General Construction. Thank you.
He's going to get excited later, Marty.
Take a look at the run as Greg was in the left lane.
Yeah, because he didn't have lane choice after spinning the tires so bad in the previous round. Not the case. He had a nice setup, 163 miles an hour at the 8th mile. That's very, very fast. He didn't get the 207 at the finish line, but he was plenty fast enough to get the win.
Well, I think Greg's very happy that he was tossed over in that left lane. Remember, his worst run of the day was over in the right lane in the semifinals, and there you see the points as we go to Bill.
New ET record, new top speed record. You missed the King Demon money, but I have a feeling this more than makes up for it.
Going to be all right with that, Bill. You know, I'll get over that. That's just money. Yeah, I like money, but you know what? The points are very important, and it's going to be a tough battle all year, but gosh, it's fun winning, and it's fun setting records. This has just been awesome.
Mentally, that does a lot for the team as well, doesn't it, Greg?
Oh, yeah, my team is just, I can't possibly say enough about what my team does. They just work so hard and so smart. I'm just so impressed. I'm speechless at what they do, but the product shows, doesn't it? Pretty awesome.
Previous 3 races, a loser on hole shots. I think he's back in the groove. Dave Reed?
To the runner-ups in Pro Stock, we start with Craig Treble. Just maybe a quick double shift might have caught you because you had 800s at the tree.
Yeah, I know it. I just saw this time ticket. I got to tell you, Dave, it wasn't a bad day for Mac O'Tools. We've been struggling the past couple of races, and Calvin and Mike, they got a good setup in this thing. It was fast on race day. I let the guys down a little bit there in the final round. I think the thing shifted from second to fourth, and then when it does that, it doesn't want to go into high, and I had to pull the clutch in, unfortunately. But you know what? For the Mac O'Tools distributors, SMR, Skinner Interiors, American Fire, and Speed Graphics, thanks, guys. We are back.
I think he got them all. For Darrell Alderman, not a bad day for Dodge either. Probably did the smart thing and shoved him over in the left lane.
Yeah, that's Ricky Smith's choice there, and he put him over in the left lane, and we made a pretty good pass running the 74, but he was just a quicker car today, and we had a good day, so we got to be pleased with it.
Thank you, Dave. As we get ready for Funny Car now, can Whit Bazemore pick up his first win of the season, or will Ron Katz take home Wally number 2 of 2003? Big opportunity for both these racers. Ron Capps, of course, winning back at Phoenix, led the points, but has since slipped quite a bit. And he could move back into 5th place no matter what happens here in this final. But obviously, for the guy in the other lane, Whit Bazemore, this team trying to get off the schneid. Even though they're second in the points, they have been to 2 finals previously. One, Whit Redlit. The other, the beer tune-up was just too much. They overpowered the racetrack. They're 0 for 2.
Yeah, Marty, and both teams, I mean, let's be honest, they both really like to get a win here. Like you said, Ron Capps got that win back in Phoenix and has really struggled big time since then. I mean, Whit Bazemore has been very consistent, but like you said, he has not gotten in the winner's circle. And if he wants to get a shot at this championship and help, to take out Tony Pedregon, he needs to win.
His last win over a year ago at Atlanta. Capps up in smoke. Bazemore's got it. 486 at 306 miles an hour. His 13th career win, and the points gap is narrowed to 72, Parker.
Tuner Leadbeard, your team owner Don Schumacher leaves, and you win. Is that the secret?
Well, not really. He had business to take care of, but just an outstanding job today by the Mac O'Tools team. I can't say enough about these guys. They did a superb job of preparing that Dodge Stratus RT. And you know they were looking cool, those Oakley sunglasses on while they were doing it, man. Thanks a bunch.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Let's take another look as we watch Whit climbing out of the cockpit.
Boy, that team did do a great job. Car was very consistent all day. Whit was on his game on the lights. Very good. Got about 100th of a second advantage for Ron Capps off the starting line, but that was it at the end. You're going to see him go into some tire smoke. Was pretty good for about 60, 100 feet. Then we saw him go into a little bit of tire shake, blows the tires off it, tries to get that thing back straight, but she's a little bit sideways. By then, Whit was long gone.
So take a look at the points. You see Ron Capps moves back up into the top 5, and 72 markers behind Tony Pedregon is the winner of today's race. Bill?
Looks like the magic is finally back. Whit Bazemore in the winner's circle.
I tell you, man, the guys, you know, the Matco Tools team just did a perfect job. And want to take a moment and tell Lou Cavallari and his family that we're thinking about him, and tough thing, and we're sorry. But, you know, and we also hope Brandon's all right. But today the guys just did a tremendous job. And here at Englishtown, you know, K&N, but Matco Tools, we have all the distributors here, and we have the distributor special car, and it's for you guys. It's our way of saying thanks for all that you do. And Powerade, you know, just for us to finally win a race this season, you know, it's just a great day for the team. It's tremendous. It's tremendous.
Let's get the Top Fuel final in.
In the Top Fuel final, will it be Doug Coletta picking up his second win of the season, or will Larry Dixon pick up win number 4 of 2003? For either one, it'll be the second time they've won here at Englishtown. And it will be Larry over in the left lane. He's been there all day long. Remember, they hazed the tires in the first round, but since then they've been on a rail. And for all intents and purposes, with Brandon Bernstein now on the shelf, you're looking at second place in the points. It won't say it mathematically, but they need to start winning some races, especially when they're up against that Miller Lite car.
Yeah, they definitely need to be able to beat Larry Dixon at this point. It's not going to be easy. They have the horsepower advantage, but they got to get it to the ground.
And he did it! 449, 328 to a 455, and Doug Coletta eats away at the points as he picks up his second win of the season, 13th of his career. Parker?
This is the most dangerous thing I ever do in racing, is getting in the middle of these great big guys. Jim Oberhofer, you're number 1 again, qualifying. You're the fastest, the baddest. Your second race win. Congratulations.
Man, thanks a lot. First and foremost, this goes out to Louis Cavallari and his family. Louis is a great friend of ours, and he passed away this past Monday. And this is for Louis and the whole Cavallari family. We got to thank Mac Tools, Redline Oil, Cleveland Engine Bearings, Champion Spark Plugs, Technicoat, everybody that helps us. They make it happen.
Well done.
Take a look at the replay. Boy, again, Dixon's launching that front end.
All day long, the track was very tight, man. He launches that front end. I mean, it clears a 60-foot clock every time, only a 954, because he's not tripping it with the front tires. He's tripping it with the body, probably about halfway back there. But then when it comes down, he was on a good run right beside Doug for 300 feet. But then that horsepower kicked in. Doug Coletta went 277 in the 8th and just said goodbye.
You can see Brandon still in second place, but as we mentioned with Doug, he's now 147 behind, Bill.
Doug Coletta, I don't think I'm telling anybody anything they don't know. If your crew gives you that car every race, forget the beer, boys.
I tell you, that was a huge win for us. You know, it's great getting a win out here. You know, it just, place is full. You know, it's sponsors, everybody that supports this thing, Mac Tools, Redline Oil. You know, I just very happy to get this win. This, you know, this field of cars is always tough to beat, and you know, this is definitely a good day.
That's impressive. Let's go to the runner-up with Dave.
And with our Nitro Funny Car runner-up, Ron Capps, about the only thing we need to say here is yeehaw.
Yeah, you know, it's final round. You do what you can, and we hope Brandon's okay. But things like that, you just in case the guy next to you's in trouble, you got to stab it. And we had a great weekend. I talked with the ESPN guys, all you guys, about the race, three-race swing. And the deal is you got to be consistent, and it's a good start.
For Larry Dixon, 449. I mean, what can you do against that?
Watch. You know, I mean, it's just you got to go up there and race your own race, and you know, do what you can do in the particular lane and what we can do with the car without giving it away. I mean, because anything can happen. I mean, you're only on the track 4.5 seconds, but man, that was strong. So we had a good showing with the Miller Lite car. We gained some points this week, and we'll go to Topeka next week.
And that'll wrap it up. We'll be back in Englishtown to close it out in just a moment.